Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear initially what media tried to hide or sweep under the rug regarding the Steele Dossier and the FBI's use of the Steele Dossier to deceive FISA judges. So what took place was judges gave warrants to Comey, Strzok, McCabe, and essentially Clapper and Brennan, initially to surveil Carter Page. Problem was there was no evidence of anything. There was no evidence of allegations made. The allegations were taken from the Steele Dossier. The Steele Dossier has now been completely debunked. There is no evidence of anything. There is no evidence tied or backing up or justifying the grandiose claims and allegations and accusations within the Steele Dossier. There's no evidence. So Democrats think that, well, because the media repeats claims forever, endlessly, that, well, because if you say something long enough, it becomes true. That's not the case. Let's just, before we listen to James Comey, you're going to listen to James Comey. James Comey literally states on Fox that he didn't know the Steele Dossier was purchased by Clinton. Madam Cyberhack, the Golden Muumuu, he has no clue what took place. He has no clue. He has no clue that the Golden Muumuu funneled money from her law firm to purchase the dossier. The reason that's important, I'm just going to read from the New York Times. This is the New York Times. Then we'll read from the Steele Dossier, then we'll listen to Comey. The New York Times states Carter Page's FISA documents are released by Justice Department. In the actual application, it says the application targets Carter Page. The FBI believes Page has been the subject of targeted recruitment by the Russian government. That alone, the FBI had no basis to believe that. This is what John Durham is going to investigate, what the Inspector General report is going to reveal. And when people say, well, the IG is not going to lead to anything, well, yeah, the Horowitz of the IG does not indict. He can recommend the indictments of somebody. He did that with Andrew McCabe. I say, well, it's going to be a letdown. Yeah, it probably will be many. Okay, the Inspector General, the IG report is going to be a whole litany of guidelines, protocol, laws being broken. The media is going to sweep it under the rug and justify everything the way the media is justifying the Steele Dossier. People at CNN are literally saying that, oh, the Steele Dossier wasn't working with foreign influences or foreign governments. No, it's completely different. It was above board. They can't accept reality. They're creating their own reality. So when caught with their pants down, when caught red-handed, they simply reiterate the accusation against them, which is backed by fact. Clinton purchased a dossier that was compiled with Russian sources, actually one Russian intelligence officer. And then they say, well, but there's no reason to believe. Yes, but there is reason to believe. In fact, that is the definition of what they accuse Trump of doing. And that's actually a clearer example of working with a foreign government. Much clearer. Okay? The fact that you have an MI6 agent compiling dirt on Trump with help from Russian sources, many of whom actually work in the Russian government. That's exactly what they've accused Trump of doing, but they're okay with it if it's on their end. But I just want to read you this. The FBI, this is on the FISA document, okay? And this is an article. Carter Page's FISA documents are released by Justice Charlie Savage, July 21st, 2018. So we've known all of this. We've seen all of this before, and the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court application is fueled only by accusations from the Steele Dossier. Sorry about that. So here, I'm actually reading the actual, because here's the actual, on this article, Carter Page FISA documents are released by Justice Department, July 21st, 2018, Charlie Savage. You can actually read, if you click, read documents here. You can read the entire thing. So the United States of America hereby applies to this court for authority to conduct, and then redacted, as described herein pursuant to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. So on top it says verified application. Okay, it says a verified application. Nothing has been verified here. Then it says declassify on, and the date's not there. But it says verified application at top. It's not a verified application. It's not a verified application. Then it starts off, the United States of America hereby applies to this court for authority to conduct, as described here and pursuant to the application is made by a supervisory special agent at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So that name is crossed out or redacted. You have a situation where almost certainly it's Peter Strzok, or it's at the behest of Comey or McCabe. And then it says classified by no name, derived from no name, classify on no name. Now, who classified this information? Some of this information is classified, but the Steele Dossier is not. That's what they're going to find out from the IG report and the Durham probe, which is a criminal probe. Identity of the target. The target of this application is Carter Page. He's never been indicted for anything, and the only accusations made were in the Steele Dossier. He's never been accused of anything. He's never been alleged to have conspired or... yes, they accused him of conspiring, but there's no evidence to show that he committed any crime. He was never accused of a crime, yet he was spied on, based only on a dossier that says that he met with, in a clandestine manner with Russian intelligence officers to interfere in the election. Nobody was charged with that, and there was no evidence to charge anyone with that, according to the Mueller report. The Mueller report completely contradicts the Steele Dossier. But the interesting thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, is if you look at the actual, you can find the actual FISA application. It's in a New York Times article by Charlie Savage, July 21st, 2018, titled, Carter Page FISA Documents Are Released by Justice Department. It says read documents here, but you can just, find here, the target of this application is an agent of a foreign power. The following describes the foreign power and sets forth in detail description of the target and target's activities for and behalf of this foreign power. This is the interesting thing with all of this. He had been working for the intelligence community for a long time. He had been an FBI informant for a long time. Carter Page. Let's go on. So, clandestine intelligence activities of the Russian Federation, all redacted. Carter Page knowingly engaged in clandestine... then it accuses Carter Page. Carter W. Page knowingly engaged in clandestine intelligence activities other than intelligence gathering activities for or on behalf of such foreign power. Where is the evidence for this? It says a verified application. They deceived FISA judges by utilizing as the basis for this allegation a Steele Dossier, which was purchased by Clinton. Which activities involve or are about to involve a violation of the criminal statutes of the United States, or knowingly conspires with other persons to engage in such activities, therefore as an agent of the foreign powers defined by 50 U.S. That is not true. There was no basis for that other than a dossier purchased by Clinton. So they deceived the court. That is illegal. This is an overt attempt at utilizing the FBI to take down political rivals and opponents. That is illegal. That is against the law. That is the 18 U.S. Code 371 that I talk about. Now, they needed to, and the really insidious thing about all of this is that they needed Carter Page because he was squeaky clean. There was no evidence of anything. So therefore, they wouldn't have to have gotten lost in the weeds of trying to sift through certain criminal behavior. But no, they made false allegations against someone who was innocent. Perfect for them. Perfect. Great for them. They didn't have to. They could just get away with accusing the guy, trying to ruin the guy's life. He lost his relationship because of this. I think he had a fiance. That ended. I mean, what they did was like pure, just... It was horrible what the FBI did. And not just to Carter Page, to Flynn, to a bunch of people, to George Papadopoulos, to Michael Flynn. Manafort committed crimes like 10 years ago that have nothing to do with any of this. And if you wanted to go after Manafort, he actually worked with Clinton's campaign chairman's brother. I explained that in the Daily Caller. I explained all of this in my latest Federalist articles. But this application, okay, so the FBI believes Page has been a subject of targeted recruitment by the Russian government. The FBI doesn't believe that, never believed that. Otherwise, it would never have worked with Carter Page. And furthermore, they didn't even have any evidence to back up any claims. The way Democrats and media and Strzok and Comey and McCabe work is that make the claim, assume that the claim is made in good faith, and ignore the fact there's no evidence to back the claim. But this is just, it's unbelievable how all of this takes place. This is very, very dangerous for the future of the country. And like, people on the left don't care. They don't see it as a problem. They don't want to see it as a problem. They don't care at all. To them, it's just an example of political influence that works on their side. See, the way the left works is this, and I've seen this because I was on the far left before I became a Trump supporter. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. And in terms of a great president and why Bernie supporters should vote for Trump 2020, I explained that in one of my Federalist articles. So people say, oh, how do you go from one to another? That's in the Federalist. Just look at my author page. Type in H.A. Goodman Federalist on Google and you will get, all my writing. And you'll get the article, my latest article that was shared by Rush Limbaugh for 2 days on his show. But they view this egregious breach of civil liberties and this overt just fabrication, utilizing the American government against an innocent American citizen. The way they utilize this, they look at this as, well, all's fair in love and politics. And their whole thing is, well, Republicans are worse, or Trump is worse. But actually, Trump is not worse. They're like the height of criminality when it comes to all of this. But anyway, Page is a former policy advisor to a candidate for president, candidate one. So, obviously Trump. During a recent interview with an identified news organization, the director of national intelligence stated, quote, Russia has tried to influence U.S. elections since the 1960s during the Cold War. The DNI commented, so then he goes on. Let's continue. In or about July 2016, then he's talking about DNC emails. Then they cite DHS reports. They cite the intelligence reports that literally state our judgments are not based on fact. They come with warranty disclaimers. And then you go on. Most of this is actually completely redacted. Certification. I, Understein, have been designated as one of the officials authorized to make the certification required. So let's see who's by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act 1975, as amended, do hereby certify that with regard to the request in this verified application, it's not verified. Nothing was verified. So they keep saying it's verified. Nothing was verified. Targeting Carter W. Page, an agent of the Russian government of foreign powers, follows. The information sought through the authorities requested herein is foreign intelligence information. Okay. It's not. The Steele Dossier was... which one is it? See here. The information sought through the authorities requested herein is foreign... Well, which one is it? Did they work with a foreign government with the Steele Dossier, or they didn't? At least a significant purpose of the authorities requested herein is to obtain foreign intelligence information, and notwithstanding the related criminal matters described in this application, all of which came from the Steele Dossier, the primary purpose of the authorities' request herein is not to obtain information. Okay, the form. All right, so most of this is verified application, okay? The United States of America hereby applies to this court for authority to conduct as described herein, and it says verified application. And there's another officer, another FBI official. There's numerous FBI officials that signed off on this. We know that McCabe and James Baker signed off. Statement of facts. The United States relies upon the following facts and circumstances in support of this application. This verified application reports on developments in the FBI investigation. Unless stated otherwise, information presented in previous applications has been summarized or removed, not because it was factually inaccurate, but in order to create more concise document. The whole thing's factually inaccurate. Source number 1. FBI notes that the incident that led the FBI to terminate its relationship with Source 1 occurred after Source 1 provided the reporting that is described herein. So I believe he's talking about Christopher Steele. Source 1, who now owns a foreign business intelligence firm, was approached by an identified U.S. person who indicated to Source 1 that a U.S.-based law firm had hired the identified U.S. persons to conduct research regarding candidates one's ties to the Russian government. The identified U.S. person hired Source 1 to conduct the research. The identified U.S. person never advised Source 1 as to the motivation behind the research into candidates one's ties to Russia. So the law firm never... See, that's not true at all. Also, Christopher Steele had a vendetta against Trump, and he knew very well that when he was... he knew very well that he actually stated in a deposition that he was hired by the Clinton campaign to uncover dirt on Trump. The FBI speculates that the identified U.S. person was likely looking for information that could be used to discredit candidates one's campaign. They sought and they outsourced dirt on Trump from a foreign source. The FBI speculates that the identified U.S. person was likely looking for information that could be used to discredit candidate one's campaign. So the Clinton's law firm, it says right here, was looking for information that could be used to discredit Trump. And guess who they were looking? Guess who they contacted? An former MI6 agent who was utilizing Russian sources. And intelligence sources, too. Then you have a situation here where it's just really unbelievable. So, and then it's like, okay, well, Page spoke to people from the Ukraine and Russia. It's like, so what? Like, you have to prove that. So nothing, he hasn't been even accused, definitely not charged with any crime at all. And then let's see, go to the bottom of the application. You go to the bottom of the application, judge, You have the judge's name. And the authorization regarding Carter W. Page expires at... Okay, so judge's name. Where is that footnote? I think I was reading the footnote right there. So it doesn't say Clinton campaign. It doesn't say anything. Wherefore the United States submits that this application regarding Carter Page satisfies the criteria and requirement of the Foreign Intelligence. It does not, as amended, and therefore requests that the court authorizes the activities described herein and enter the proposed order and warrants which accompany this application. When the media said, well, it was a judge looked at this, they assumed that everything was above board. Rod Rosenstein signed off on this. So I'm reading Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. And this is in June of 2017. It says, sorry. Wait, no, yeah. It says 2017. So this is one of the applications that was continually. So you have a whole bunch of people who signed. Andrew McCabe signed this. I execute the certificate regarding Carter Page in accordance with the requirements of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Did not meet the requirements. It did not meet the requirements because there's absolutely nothing in any of these allegations that's true. So you have Andrew McCabe. I see a signature here on page 98. And then a couple pages later, you see a signature from Rod Rosenstein. So, Andrew McCabe is in even more legal turmoil than he would have you believe. The basis for my certification that the information sought is the type of foreign intelligence information specified herein, and that such information cannot be obtained by normal investigative techniques as follows. It says right here, foreign intelligence information. The FISA application literally states the Steele Dossier allegations are foreign intelligence information. So they keep saying, well, it's you can't really you can't say the Steele Dossier is a foreign. It says that right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, what they did was criminal. What they did was criminal, really criminal, and unbelievable. Give me your thoughts below. What they did, ladies and gentlemen, was this. They set up and framed Carter Page, and you had everyone from Rod Rosenstein to everyone else, Andrew McCabe. Rod Rosenstein seems to have gotten away with it because William Barr needed him to lend credibility to the obvious conclusion that since they completely declined to indict Trump because there was no evidence, very different from Clinton transferring top secret and special access program intelligence outside of the United States government knowingly, then you have a situation where there was no evidence at all. All of it was derived from allegations made from a Steele dossier that was completely unverified, now completely debunked, purchased by Clinton. The Golden Muumuu purchased her own 2-year investigation. Again, the Golden Muumuu purchased a 2-year investigation. Pretty unbelievable when you think about it. Pretty unbelievable. To be able to purchase a 2-year investigation by funneling money through a law firm, having the law firm pay for the information, getting Andrew McCabe, whose wife received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Terry McAuliffe, getting Rod Rosenstein, who spoke to Andrew McCabe about ousting Trump utilizing the 25th Amendment and a wire. Strzok, who said, we will stop Trump. He needs to lose 1,000,000 to 1. The Trump voters are smelly. I mean, it just, isn't it interesting how Clapper is now MSNBC pundit? Brennan is actually hired by MSNBC. Comey is always being published in the New York Times, the Washington Post. Wow, what a coinkydink. This is so interesting. And ladies and gentlemen, I love and I respect and I understand and I admire the concept. Oh, well, nothing's going to happen. All right, I see that. I see why people would say that. The only thing I would say respectfully is, I used to be a financial advisor. Past performance in a mutual fund is not indicative of a future outcome, future performance. Are the indictments happening tomorrow? No. Eventually, people are going to get indicted, whether before or after the election. I don't know when, but you can't. This is not sustainable. William Barr, President Trump, even Sean Hannity numerous times has stated, this cannot happen. You cannot allow this to take place in the United States government. The United States government cannot politicize intelligence agencies and then criminalize suspicion. Suspicion is either warranted or unwarranted, but it always has to be backed by fact before investigating. It can't be backed by allegations purchased directly by your actual political opponent. So John Durham is going to say, William Barr is going to say, wait a second. They made these allegations. Was it backed by fact? And if it wasn't backed by fact, why did they continue with the investigation knowing these allegations were false? Or, if there's no fact that then they were false. You can't simply continue to say, we don't know if it's true. Oh, so-and-so is having a romantic relationship with so-and-so. We don't know if it's not true. That's not the way you justify gossip. Gossip and hearsay should never be listened to. But it was actually used as the basis for a criminal probe. Give me your thoughts below. Check out my writing in the Federalist that was shared by Rush Limbaugh, my latest article. And if you want to support my voice long term, your support is greatly appreciated, especially going into this tumultuous and enjoyable and interesting times. Election season. My Patreon is below if you want to support my voice long term. Thank you so very, very much.